Thank you so much. I just got really choked up listening to Anila. You know, Muslims, and especially Muslim women, who are the outliers, who are willing to stand up for Christians and for Jews, there's such danger in doing that. They lose family members. They're in physical danger. And she's so brave. And we need to do everything we can to, all of us, unite together and include our Muslim brothers and sisters who understand that the only way forward is through love and unity. So I'm just honored to be in this whole group of women who have taken it upon themselves to really do something about it, which is generally what women tend to do. So I'm just blown away. Now, we all know that it's been over a year ago, we were just all living our lives, raising our families, working on our careers, contributing to our communities, and all the while, this evil was brewing, and radical Islamic terrorists were plotting a second Holocaust against Israelis and against Jewish people everywhere. And it's a day that really changed us all forever. And just over a year ago, I was in between jobs, and I was asking God, what do you want me to do in this new phase of my life? I was hoping for another sitcom, but he said, Israel was not on my bingo card, but I never imagined I would be creating a nonprofit to rally Christian support of the Jewish people, but here we are, and I'm loving every minute of it. And you know what, it all came from when I saw that Hamas body cam footage being posted online on October 7th. And I was horrified. And I assumed that the rest of the world would also be horrified. And I called and texted my Jewish friends to see how they were doing. And not only were they not doing well, but they told me I was the only person that had reached out to them. And so I was really, truly troubled by this. You know, growing up, prior to when I was born, my father served in World War II, and it was just common and accepted knowledge that the Nazis were the enemies, that the Holocaust happened, it was real. We studied about Anne Frank, and we all said never again. So I was just stunned by the lack of outrage. I didn't understand it. I called my good friend Elizabeth Doros to see how she was doing as a Christian woman married to a Jewish man. And we knew that our Christian friends in Nashville supported Israel. But often Christians who visit and love Israel come back home, but they don't know any of their Jewish neighbors. So Elizabeth and I decided we wanted to make Nashville the safest place for Jewish people to live by bringing Christians into community with their Jewish neighbors. How? We weren't quite sure. But as Elizabeth says, quoting scripture, Hineni, here I am. I don't even know if I said that right, Hineni. So every day we just get up and say to the Lord, Hineni. And so the October 7th Coalition, or O7C, was born. Elizabeth and I started with a small luncheon comprised of Christian pastors, leaders, a couple of nuns from my sister's convent, right before Christmas, and they showed up to talk about anti-Semitism. And then we wrote an outreach letter signed by about 148 Christian leaders in Nashville, and we sent it to all the synagogues in Nashville and the Federation to let them know we were here to help. And that culminated in our first unity event at the Church of the City in Franklin, Tennessee, attended by 250 Jewish and Christian leaders. We then supported Israeli musicians through the Nashville program called the Promise Sessions, which was founded by Rabbi Saul Strasberg at Temple Shereth, Israel, where artists who had finished their IDF service came to Nashville to have their music recorded by Grammy-winning producer Steve Schnurr, a dear friend of mine. With the Israeli consulate, we sponsored the only screening in the South of the Hamas body cam footage for Christian leaders, and we had the largest turnout they've had for any of the screenings. And our mission ended up spreading far and wide. We ended up hosting a multi-faith audience at the Nova Festival exhibit in Los Angeles with our IDF musicians performing. Other gatherings took place in Dallas, outside of Miami, at a church in Bel Air. And most recently, we held an interfaith gathering at Mount Zion Church Family in Compton, California, Pastor Fisher hosting it, bringing together Jewish, Christian, Black, white, and Hispanic people to hear stories of survivors from the Holocaust, the Jim Crow era, and a Nova Festival survivor. It was a deeply powerful evening. And then there was the My Zuzah, Your Zuzah campaign. It got a slightly mixed reception, but I just want to tell you how it evolved. It literally popped into my mind the words, My Zuzah, Your Zuzah. I'm blaming it on the Holy Spirit. And we had a meeting with my publicist, my social media team, some other people, my agent. We said, can we get a bunch of actors and influencers to put a mezuzah on their door? And they sent it out to all their clients, 0 response. And so we kind of were thinking about it, and we happened to be going on Fox and Friends one morning. I don't remember what we were supposed to talk about, but what we did say was, let's just announce it. Let's just go ahead and announce that it's a campaign. We didn't actually have a campaign. We just said, we're announcing this campaign. And I said to the hosts on Fox and Friends, this is our Spartacus moment. We're coming together because students in colleges who have mezuzahs on their doors are being vandalized and smashed and harassed. And just like the people in Billings, Montana, who, after a menorah in a window was smashed back in 1993, and the newspaper published a full-page-size menorah, and 10,000 people in Billings put it in their window to show solidarity, we can do this too. We forgot to tell the myzuzah.org company that we were announcing it on Fox and Friends, because we didn't know we were going to do it ourselves. And I think that their website shut down because they had thousands of Christians calling in to order mezuzahs. And you know, there was a little bit of a kerfuffle about it, but we just got from the Israeli government, one of their news pages, that we were part of the top most effective allyship movements because of the My Zuzah campaign this past year. Coming up, we have a wonderful opportunity called Deborah Rising. As you know, Deborah was a powerful judge, the only female judge in the Old Testament who helped to save Israel. And so we're having a Deborah Rising conference in Jerusalem from May 17th to the 24th for Jewish and Christian women. And I'm thinking we need Muslim women too after hearing Anila. Because look at the power and the effectiveness in a room when women come together. And we need to keep doing that. And it cannot be a thing that we then now put away if things sort of calm down or, God willing, all the hostages come back. We need to keep these relationships going because anti-Semitism is not going to go away. And speaking of the hostages, that work continues, obviously. One of my first personal appearances for 07C was at Columbia University when I spoke at the hostage rally. And of course, there's still 93 hostages there, including Ariel and Kafir Bibas and their parents. And I recently made my first trip to Israel and visited Kibbutz Nir Oz, from where the Bibas family was taken. You know, the beauty of that place despite the silence and destruction, will always stay with me. And I know that one day we will again hear children's voices singing and laughing and playing at Kibbutz Nir Oz. It's going to happen again. I mean, the courage of the hostage families is so humbling, especially that of Rachel Goldberg-Poland, who I had the pleasure of meeting. Her fearlessness and her tenacity just continues to be an inspiration. And I continue to pray for her as she tends to her grief over the death of her beloved Hirsch. She's in Los Angeles right now, continuing to do the work, and she's such a great role model. But you know, despite all these horrors, despite the suffering, I firmly believe, and I know that Israel will prevail, because the history of the Jewish people has been one of rising and flourishing wherever they find themselves, despite being attacked, scapegoated, and exiled. What they have created in Israel is what our American forefathers did here. And part of our mission at O7C is to help Americans, and especially Christians, understand the significance of a strong, free, democratic society in the heart of the Middle East. Wherever the Jewish people have landed, they have succeeded in creating communities that are welcoming to all. The great nation of Israel is a shining testament to their resilience, their ingenuity, and their inclusiveness. And we stand here as free Americans in a democratic society because our forefathers founded this country on values based on our Judeo-Christian heritage. These values stand for the rights of all human beings to live in a country that respects human rights. And today, Israel and America are both places where those rights are fiercely protected. People from all walks of life, from all faith traditions, who want to live in peace and freedom with no fear of persecution or shame can live here or in Israel and expect security and a harmonious existence with their neighbors. In an area where most countries limit or repress basic human rights, Israel alone stands as a shining beacon. And it's Israel's freedom of expression and freedom to create that have led to these accomplishments, stellar military and technological advancements. Israel's developments have changed the way the whole world exists for the better. And we're just still finding out how these great minds will continue to change and prosper the lives of our children and our grandchildren. This is part of a quote that Mark Twain talked about, the Jewish people he had such great respect for. Other peoples have sprung up and held their torch high for a time, but it burned out, and they sit in twilight now or have vanished. The Jewish people saw them all, beat them all, and are now what they always were, exhibiting no decadence, no infirmities of age, no weakening of their parts, no slowing of their energies, no dulling of their alert and aggressive minds. All things are mortal except for the Jewish people. All other forces pass, but Jewish people remain. What is the secret of their immortality? Well, as believing Christians and Jews, we know what the secret is. The very first book of the Old Testament states it clearly. I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you, and all peoples on earth shall be blessed through you. This promise of victory for the righteous is boldly stated in Deuteronomy. Be strong and courageous. Do not fear or be in dread of them, for it is the Lord your God who goes with you. He will not leave you or forsake you. Now, Elizabeth and I find these words of encouragement in both the Old Testament and the New. We heard God's call to us in this space when we read the words of St. Paul to the Ephesians. Put on the full armor of God so that when the day of evil comes, you do everything in your power to stand, and when you've done everything, stand. The Jewish people continue to stand, even though they are a small group, but they are mighty. They choose values like self-determination, joy, resilience, tenacity, and goodwill to all. These are just a few of the long-standing values that have made Israel great and which make the Jewish people so special. So, we have to continue to take heart. David was just one young shepherd boy, and he took down Goliath. In my Catholic tradition, Joan of Arc, just one young peasant girl who saved all of France. I see in front of me a room full of Davids and a room full of St. Joans. You know, it doesn't take a lot of people to fight this battle. It just takes the right people. And right now, the people of Israel and the Jewish people are the right people. I believe with all my heart that Israel is now saving the world with this incredible fight they are waging against Hamas, Hezbollah, the IRG, the whole evil system. Israel has the courage and the brains to do what no other country on earth has the guts to do. And the depth of gratitude the world owes Israel and the Jewish people is bottomless, because you are sacrificing your beautiful sons and daughters to save the world from this terror. We don't deserve you, but I thank you from the bottom of my heart. You know, at Mass this Christmas, one of the readings was from the book of Isaiah, and it struck me as a perfect motto for O7C and for all of us. For Zion's sake, I will not keep silent. For Jerusalem's sake, I will not remain quiet, till her vindication shines out like the dawn, her salvation like a blazing torch. The nations will see your vindication, and all kings your glory. You will be called by a new name that the mouth of the Lord will bestow. You will be a crown of splendor in the Lord's hand, a royal diadem in the hand of your God. It's been my great and unexpected joy to be a part of your community over the last year and a half, and to witness all the great work you do, not only for the Jewish community, but for everyone around you. Groups like Stand With Us, Jew Belong, Maman, such lovely friendships have sprung up. My own Catholic faith has been deepened by the relationships I've made in this terrible time. So O7C will continue to stand alongside and fight for you as you fight for the rest of the world. I want you to know we will always be with you and beside you and for you. Am Israel Chai.